Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be talking about the recent drop the Bitcoin has had and why this is the opportunity that we've all been waiting for to jump back into new positions. I've been talking about why I believe the Bitcoin was going to be bearish over the last couple weeks, and now that we've actually topped and seen the correction that I was watching for, I've taken all of the cash that I had and I've been buying back into those same positions. Altcoins that I've been holding, altcoins that I've been looking at, and compounding on original altcoin positions are all the things that I'm focused on right now. So for today's video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly why I believe that the market is ready to be going back up again, why this bear market correction is most likely over, and how we can all go about making the most profit possible when this bounce takes place. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, now here we are to start off today's video. Now over the last couple weeks we've been talking extensively on why I believe that we were going to end up seeing a correction, and from that point that's exactly what has happened. Now in my yesterday's video I was talking about why I was believing that we would see a bounce somewhere in here that would take us back up, and we never actually ended up seeing a big type of a bounce. Now as it stands, the way that I was watching this, I was expecting that we were going to come back down, bounce off of this level, take a little bit of time to consolidate, and then that was going to lead us into this final drop. I figured it would take us at least 1 to 2 months worth of consolidation to get to that point, but we ended up just getting straight to that point, over the last couple days. And so as it stands right now, I've actually gone ahead and started buying in this entire dip. I woke up early this morning, seeing the market down as much as it was, and I started to buy back into those altcoin positions that I sold back up here. And so I've already started to unload all this cash that I had. I've already started to buy back into new positions. I've started to compound on some of those older positions, and I'm jumping back into the market on this dip because you guys already know what we've been watching for the last little while has been why I believe that this was at a topping point, because we finished 5 waves up. Now inside of this 5 waves up, we're just starting our correction back down. Now originally I thought that it was going to take a little bit more time before we got down to this level, but instead we just went straight down to this support level at the 618. And so as it stands, you guys already know what I've been watching for and what I've been telling everybody for has been to target the 618 as the point where you want to be looking to enter back into the market. Now even though we've corrected faster than I was initially expecting, it doesn't matter because my target has basically been hit at this level. So as it stands, I've already started to buy a bunch of stuff. I'm not super worried about one more lower low, because at the same reason why I was telling you guys that we should have caution up here, I'm now telling you guys that you should be using your cash to be buying back in. And this is just simply the way the markets are going to go. We're not always going to nail the exact bottom. We're not always going to nail the exact top. But if we look to capture the majority of the move, that's where we're going to make the most profit. Now, because I took a lot of profits up in this area, I'm now buying back in after this big correction, because even though it's happened a little bit quicker than I was initially anticipating, it's still right there at that main level that I wanted to buy. And so for that reason, I am actually going back into crypto, getting back out of my cash that I had. And the only real difference here is because of the fact it happened quicker than I was anticipating, the only difference here is the fact that we could see a short-term bounce back up. And, we could even see this thing come back down for one final low. I really wouldn't be surprised to see something like that happen. But the big thing that I was watching for was us to actually bounce all the way back up to basically the wave 3 highs. I don't find it likely that that's going to be the likelihood scenario. What I end up thinking is going to be playing out is we could still see a bounce back up to the 618, which would be fairly close to those range highs, but it would be taking us to about 2,300. But to be honest, guys, if we see a bounce all the way back up to the 618 out of this drop, then at that point I would actually expect that the bottom is going to be in. We might come back down to around this $21,000 level, but for the most part I would expect that would hold, and this would actually end up being a higher high. So because we ended up having such a deeper correction on the way back down and it happened faster, the only thing that changes is if we get a move back up to the 618, I believe that the lows are already going to be in and the bottom will be in based off of where we're at today. Even if we come back down and, get around this $21,000 level, I still anticipate that this would be support before we end up going up higher into a brand new cycle high. And so that's what I'm watching for in the short term. Now, in the short term, if we end up coming just short of the 618, maybe we rally upwards of this 382 Fibonacci. I wouldn't be surprised that at that point we could see one more final low. And if we do get one more low, then ultimately that's going to be taking us to around, probably 18,300 to about 18.5. That's where I would guess if we are to see one more low. But as it stands, guys, I'm not worried about one more low. I'm already buying right now. I'm already unloading a lot of that cash because it's basically hit perfectly where I was initially anticipating it to hit. What I was talking to you guys about over the last couple days has been, a low-end target of about $19,200, and we went all the way back down to about 19.5, and so that's close enough for me. If we go down a little bit lower, it doesn't really change anything. I've already started to buy stuff because a lot of altcoins have hit those 618 targets. A lot of those altcoins have already automatically filled me into those positions because I've had buy orders set on exchanges. And so I'm not hesitating to accumulate in this dip, and I don't think anybody else should either. If we look over here at basically the futures chart of Bitcoin, we can see that the big important level that we needed to fill was basically the CME futures gap, and we can see that we perfectly filled that gap right here. And so as it stands, everything that we really needed to see for Bitcoin to bottom has happened. We hit the 618 Fibonacci, which was my target that I was watching for. On top of that, we filled the CME gap. On top of that, we're literally sitting on top of this prior accumulation range, except instead of it acting as resistance, it's now acting as support. And so even though we didn't come all the way back down to retest the low end, which is still a possibility, I'm buying. I don't think that you should hesitate by, accumulating right here because we really have done everything that I was at least watching for. The only difference here is instead of getting a bounce over in this area back up, we ended up just getting the complete correction all in one go. And so, the bottom could very well be in right now. And so if that's the case, you don't really want to miss out on being able to accumulate that. Like I stated, I expected that we'd see a bounce. We didn't get the bounce. We went straight down to this prior support level. So now that we're hitting this, I'm not worried so much about a short-term bounce. I'm more worried on buying the dip that's presented in front of us because that's what all I was watching for. I was either watching for one dip to take us back down to this $19,000 level, or we basically just did it all in one go. And because we did it all in one go, the bottom very well could be in off of this dip. So I think that you're much better off buying. If we look over here at the total market cap, this is what I was talking about in yesterday's video a little bit, and even a video before that. And this one literally bounced almost perfectly onto that 618 Fibonacci level, which if we look over here, I told you guys that you were better off analyzing this total market cap chart because of the fact how much more the price action actually obeys these specific levels. And we went almost perfectly to the very low end of this range of support, and we pretty much hit right perfectly in the middle point of this consolidation. And so because we're sitting at this level, to me, it's a perfect opportunity to be getting back into the market. We were bearish up here at the range highs. Now that we've corrected and got this big move back down to the 618, I'm bullish at support. It's as simple as that. People are going to be angry at the fact that I've been taking profits, and I've seen it in the comments section. People are angry. But the reason people are angry is because they didn't take profits. They watched the market dip, and now they just have to watch as they've lost a bunch of money in unrealized gains, and now the market is providing this dip as an opportunity to get in, and none of these people have cash to buy. And so that's why I've been making these videos. I've wanted to prepare you guys awaiting this coming dip. And so now that the dip is here, it's an amazing opportunity to be getting back into some of those same positions. Because here's the big thing, guys. Now that we've finished this dip, all this is a support and resistance flip on the bigger time frames. And we can see that that's the case. We've now retested this prior resistance level, now acting as support. And realistically, it does seem like we have the potential of this inverse head and shoulder formation to be playing out. However, it bottoms. Once we flip the range highs, specifically being the August highs at 25K, then at that point, we're going to get in for a big move to the upside. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin, wherever this thing bottoms at, my opinion, it's probably going to be where we're at right now. Once we bottom out of this thing and we can clear the range highs over here in August, that's going to set us up for a pretty big move upwards of 35K, in my opinion. Because if we're looking at this being a big head and shoulder formation pattern, or an inverse head and shoulder formation, then the way that you would get a target is by basically taking the entirety from the neckline down to the head, and then pasting that at the neckline once again, and then that gives you a target of $35,500. And so if what we're looking at here is the true bottom, I don't think that we should hesitate accumulating this, because the next move that comes out of this bottom is going to be a large breakout. And so the only thing that really changes for me is the fact that the correction happened quicker than I was anticipating, which basically means that the next move up can happen quicker than I was expecting. I was looking at this bottom to be taking us somewhere into April to even the end of April, and we're doing this at pretty much mid-March. And so the only thing that changes is the fact that, in my opinion, everything's just going to be accumulating a little bit quicker than I was expecting. And so we might bounce around here a little bit, chop. But overall, I am expecting that this is going to end up holding support at this level, and then that'll set us in for that next breakout. But here's the thing, guys. Because we've already finished 3 waves up, and this is the bottom of the correction right now, that means this entire move from 15,500 all the way up to 25,000 is a 1 wave. So this entire move is wave 1. We're inside of wave 2 right now, even if it comes back down a little bit lower. We're in wave 2, and what we're working on next is wave 3. And so that's why I believe that this next move coming could be very big, and we could go all the way up to 35,000, because if we look up here based off of the Fibonacci sequence, we have to go to a minimum target here to actually confirm an Elliott wave impulse. And so our minimum target is going to be up here with the 1618. And the 1618 is going to be taking us perfectly at the same level as what our inverse head and shoulder target would take us to. And so what we're looking at here is about $35,500, and that's where I believe that this next wave 3 impulse is going to be taking us. Most likely this wave 3, will come up, take us upwards of 35,500. We'll pull back down. I think that this pullback will be taking us back around this $32,000 level that we were consolidating inside of the prior bull market. And then that's where we're going to end up holding support in wave 4 before we get one more final wave 5 that'll most likely take us upwards of 48 to 50,000. And this is probably what's going to happen throughout this calendar year leading into our halving. After this year, we might see a deeper correction back down, all the way back down to this level, leading into sometime around our halving for next year. And then that will take us into, new all-time highs, or at least into, close to those prior all-time highs would be my guess. But that's why I believe it's going to be happening over the long term. We finished our wave 2. That's what we're in right now. Whether the bottom's in now or whether we go a little bit lower, I'm still in buy the dip mode. But then the next leg up is going to be one that happens a little bit more impulsively. Most likely we'll go past $35,000. Get a pullback. But I think that for the most part, what we'll end up doing throughout the rest of this year is getting 5 impulse waves. We finished wave 1. We're inside of wave 2. I think that what comes next is wave 3. We'll get wave 4. And then we'll get one more final wave 5 that'll take us upwards of about $50,000. From there, we'll expect to see another deeper correction into sometime into middle point of next year being our halving. That's the way I see the markets. Kind of a similar way as what happened back here in this last cycle, where our halving was right here, and so we went through this first higher high, a corrective move, and then once the halving took place, we were pretty much after the end of our corrective move and the very beginning of that next leg up into price discovery. I honestly think that this cycle throughout this calendar year will play out similarly, where we just basically build our first higher high and then higher low, and then our halving will take place into sometime of next year, and then that should have set us up for a strong foundation into new all-time highs. But it will look something along the lines of this, in my opinion. That's the way that I'm watching the market structure. So if you guys are wondering, yes, I'm buying the dip. Yes, I'm using all of the cash that I took profits on up here, jumping back into the markets. I believe that this is a support and resistance flip on the higher time frames, and we're going to see some massive impulses coming throughout this calendar year. So it's just an opportunity to be getting back in those markets, compounding those gains like I've been talking about. If you guys want to know what markets I'm jumping back into, all the signals I've posted today in my Discord group. If you guys want to know how I'm investing my money inside of this dip, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my Discord. This is going to be a lifetime membership as long as you guys are watching this channel, as long as I'm uploading on YouTube, as long as I'm trading in the markets. You guys are going to be able to follow all the calls that I take. I've posted a lot of new signals today. But I'm jumping heavily back into the market with all the cash that I've accumulated. And so at this point, now is the best time than ever before. If you guys want to know how I'm trading, what I'm looking to get back into and compound some of these gains, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up. Thank you guys so much for the support. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.